Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Parsec Partner Exchange. We are really excited to come together and have a conversation today about using analytics, really specifically for summer planning. Big thank you to Diana and Joe from the Thomas Charter who are here with us this morning and going to share their practices. Really, the point of today is to be conversational, very informal. So, thank you for joining. And we would love if you would turn your cameras on so that we could really participate in a conversation. Um, I know most things webinar related are very kind of sit back, but this is meant to be participatory. So join us in that conversation. Um, we would love that. So my name is Jody Hooker Silva. I'm one of the learning integration specialists at Parsec. We are going to record today's session. It is already being recorded, and we will share that out to everyone who registered after today's event. You'll also receive the slides from today, so don't feel like you need to take notes. So you'll have both the slides and the recording. We do have a couple of Parsec also learning integration specialists on the call today, so feel free to ask questions in the chat if they come up. We'll also have a question and answer session towards the end. And so feel free to jump in again and ask questions. This is really meant to be conversational, a place where you can brainstorm, get ideas, and then think about how you might use this within your own organization. So today we want to highlight one of the things that is really important to us here at Parsec is, and this is something that we've heard from our partners, which is why we started the Parsec Partner Exchange, is to highlight how other organizations are using our Parsec products. And so today we're really specifically diving into the state test dashboard. So for those who are unfamiliar with the state test dashboard, it is one of the premium dashboards that you have through Parsec Analytics, and it is coming straight from SERS. And so you get that as soon as the state releases those files in SERS for you. You have access to that data on your Parsec platform. Specifically on the state test dashboard, we are going to be looking at the cohort filter, how that is used by Natomas Charter, as well as one of the things that's really unique to Parsec is that you get to see your performance bands on top of your DFS. Normally, those, as the state provides them, come in two separate dashboards. You have the CAS dashboard, and then you have the accountability state dashboard, and that is where you see your DFS. With Parsec, you see them together, and they really tell two different stories, which is what Diana and Joe are going to share about today. So that is what we are going to highlight. If you want to go to the next slide, Kate. Today we have with us Diana Wilson from Natomas Charter. She is the Star Academy principal. She has 15 years of education experience in K-12. We also have Joe with us today. Joe Wood is their superintendent, going to share how they're using this for their summer planning, which again, Parsec is really the tool that you can use all year long. And because you have this access, you don't have to wait till October when the California state dashboard files are released. You get this information in May, June, when the state gives that back to you in SERS. So you can use this all summer long to plan, which is what Natomas Charter is doing. And they're going to share that with us today. So again, thank you, Diana. Thank you, Joe, for being with us. Kate, if you want to head on, I'm going to turn it over to Diana. Take it away.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and share how we're using Parsec, especially our premium dashboard with the state assessment. Every year as an admin team, we get together to reflect on the previous year and dive right into our data. And Parsec has really made that very meaningful for us because the data is available on that premium dashboard really early as compared to waiting for the state. And having to dig into SERS yourself and pull it all manually just takes forever. So it's been really great. We got to get together in June. We dove right into our CASP data. And what did we expect to see? We expected to see strong numbers. We expected to be maybe somewhat stronger in ELA than we were math. And we were expecting to see consistent yet possibly like flat scores over the years, which we are addressing as an admin team. We were really able to dive right in. That premium dashboard allows us to see that big picture of Natomas Charter School, which is a charter school of 1,900 kids, TK to 12. But then we have 5 separate academies that have different grade level bands, and we were able to dig into academy specific data. So I was able to dig into specifically Star Academy. I was able to see big picture Star. I was able to break it out into grade levels, right down to teachers. Those grade level bands and cohort reports allow you to follow a class from year to year to year. And we can do that at NCS all the way through 12th grade. So it helps us identify our strength as well as areas that we need to improve upon. It also breaks down things by student. Well, let me back up a minute. Also breaks down into subgroup. We were able to break our Star Academy data into subgroups that we are keeping a close eye on, like our special needs students and our low income students. Always super impressed to see our reclassified students, our RFEP students, have the highest scores of all of our kids, and just kind of reiterating that multilingual brain is just once you get there, is very impressive. And then it gives us our grade level, or I'm sorry, our performance bands, and then it breaks those performance bands down into students. So that is really helpful. We're able to see our student lists for certain band levels and standards and all that. So it's very useful. We can do it super early, which allows us to plan for our next school year. So that's what we're doing on Thursday. This week, we are getting together to revisit our data and plan our year out. Our year is focused on rigor of instruction this next year, and excelling academically. So we'll be using our data. We also are able to align our CASP data with our iReady data, also available on our premium dashboard. So for the most part, our predictive software through iReady, through Parsec, is consistent. So showing consistent trends with CASP testing, which is very fortunate for us to be able to know that we're using valid pieces of data as the year go by. So we're excited. We are aligning all of this with our LCAP, and we're re-rolling out PLCs next year and focusing very much on, as STAR, we're focusing on ELA instruction and reading, the science of reading next year. So we're excited. This is our overall data our data through the years. So I'm sorry, it's so tiny. I have to blow it up. Hang on. From 2022, 23, all the way through the current year, being able to see our trends. This is what I referred to earlier. We're relatively consistent in our ELA and math scores. So that is one of our strengths. And then we are looking to focus as a school on math fluency, and looking to focus on, in the elementary school, we're really focusing on literacy and getting our kids reading and reclassified for English language instruction by the time they leave Star Academy, so they go to middle school strong. Joe, do you have anything to add to this one? Sorry, I'm kind of blanking about where we're going with this.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I think like all of us, we have a little summer amnesia going on. So yeah, so as Diana said, we really look at this data to kind of track year over year performance and find it very helpful. We also have kind of an interesting enrollment pattern in our school, in that we take a lot of kids in kindergarten, a lot of kids in 6th grade, and a lot of kids in 9th grade. And that's because we have elementary, middle, and high school programs. And so one of the things that we have definitely noticed post-pandemic is students who are with us in elementary school are outperforming those who came to us in 6th grade. And so we find this data very helpful, because then we realize we have kind of two different cohorts there. We have kids that have been with us since kindergarten, and we have kids that have come along, different pieces of time. And so, are we able to really accelerate their growth? And so it actually has been helpful in that sense, because we can sort of look at, kids that have been with us consistently over time and looking at their performance.
All right, and then connecting data to our LCAP goals. Next year for math instruction, we are focusing on fluency across all grade levels, especially in the elementary level. What we're finding at our middle and high school levels is that kids are understanding mathematical concepts, but they're lacking the confidence and skill set in that mathematical fluency. So that is slowing them down when they're getting to the more complex mathematical concepts. It's taking them longer to do their problems. It's taking them they're losing their train of thought as they're trying to, they're not fluent. So we're focusing on that piece. And then we just had a cohort of teachers go to the Science of Reading training this summer in June. So we're going to be focusing on literacy practices at the elementary level. Again, our hope and dream is to send all of our kids at grade level or above in reading onto middle school and high school so they have the best chance of success when they get there. Definitely working on our culture and attendance. We need our kids to come to school. We have, like all schools, we have some challenges with some of those remnants of school attendance not being as regular. We're able to come to school a little bit under the weather now, so we're trying to get our parents to buy into that. Elementary school, that's a tough sell when the babies are sick. And then human resources, definitely looking to just create that positive culture and attract and retain highly qualified staff. I know we're all struggling with that. With our teacher shortage, but we were working on that as well. So those are our 4 LCAP goals this year. And yes, we're all back. We all came back sometime this week. We're all gathering on Thursday. We're planning together Thursday, Friday, math focus and literacy focus, and we're just excited to get the school year started. Are all 5 of our academies and our site-based PLC focus for this year. At Star Academy, we are focusing on multilingual learners and literacy, and we are using the DIBELS screener to help us with that work. We also have what's called What I Need Time. We label it Win Time, and where we have a dedicated 40-minute block of time where students switch classes to get the help that they need. And this year, for that win time, we're focusing on just literacy instruction, making sure that our kids are ready and prepared for their next step into middle school when they leave here. PACT Academy is our TK through 8th grade academy. So we're in the elementary world together, although PACT extends into 8th grade. And they are doing something similar with their with DIBELS assessment, focusing on literacy. And they have an additional challenge because they are a homeschool program. So they have to, the teachers and the principal over there need to train the parents on how to teach and how to do all this, so that they have additional challenges with that piece. And then, Joe, if you want to are you able to speak to the other academies?
Sure.
I'm not as familiar with them.
Yeah, so Diana is the principal of our Star Academy, which is our 600 student elementary school program. But we have 4 other academies. So we have a small homeschool program, a project-based learning, site-based program called Leading Edge, a performing and fine arts focused program for middle and high school, and then an independent study kind of hybrid program for high school that we call the Early College Academy. And so you can kind of see, looking at this particular chart, they all have a slightly different PLC focus, but same sort of general idea. Across the board, we're really looking at how do we better support our English language learners or multilingual learners. And then, as Diana was mentioning, especially at the secondary level, we're seeing that elementary students who weren't with us in elementary school coming in with some fairly significant math fluency gaps. And so really kind of working on how do we catch students up on their math fluency just so they have confidence when they are doing middle and high school level math. And then the ALLE class that is there, that's actually a literacy intervention class that we have that is focused on supporting multilingual learners, as well as students that are coming into middle and high school with significant gaps in phonics instruction, because typically middle school English teachers don't know how to teach phonics, and so we've created a support and intervention class for that.
So Joe and Diana, thank you so much for sharing. A couple questions just for the whole group. So when you were sitting down to make that PLC focus and tools, was this back in June when you were looking through your Parsec dashboards to identify what the needs of each site? Kind of walk us through that process.
Diana, do you want to talk for Star, and then I can talk for the rest of the school?
Absolutely. Yeah, we went over every year we focus in our MTSS data with our iReady data. So we've been focused on that data all year long. And so we're at Star Academy, we're really going with the premise of that reading impacts all other subject areas. So yes, our data actually shows that math is a greater area of need. However, a lot of our math program is literacy based and word based and word problems and such. So we're running off the premise of, even though our ELA scores are higher than our math scores, that if we focus on literacy and we hyper focus on that this year, that we will see such growth that it will spill over into the other content areas, especially in math. And we're hoping our goal is that when they reach middle school, that they will not need intervention for reading, because it kind of takes away from the other things they need to do. And like Joe was saying, a lot of the teachers in middle and high school, they don't teach phonics because it's not part of their standards, and that can be really difficult for kids also as they get older to still remain in that area. So we're focusing on literacy. We're excited about that, and we're excited to roll out our PLCs this year.
And I would just add for the other four academies, similar to what Diana said, I mean, we're constantly looking at data. All five of the academies have different data structures where the teachers are meeting, if not weekly, at least every other week to constantly look at data. So really, we were kind of already in the process of establishing these PLCs when we got a first look at our CASP data in June. Really, what being able to look at it early helped us do was calibrate and really make sure that, okay, yeah, we are moving in the right direction. This does make sense. Prior to having Parsec, we often couldn't really look at this data until August or September. So you're trying to look at data from 3 months ago while starting a new school year and doing all of the new school year things that are going on. So it's actually been very helpful to have this because, as Diana was kind of articulating, is our typical structure now is basically students, school ends on a Friday, right? And so that immediately that following week, typically it's on the following Wednesday, we're coming together as an administrative team and looking at our assessment data for the year. And then that lets us kind of leave we typically take a summer break kind of late June into mid-July. And so that kind of lets the full administrative team sort of leave at a place of kind of knowing where they stand so that when we come back in July, as Diana was talking about this week, we all return, we can really kind of then go, okay, we took a preliminary look at our data. We had some ideas of what we're going to work on. We've had a month to all kind of ruminate on it now. Where are we going with this? What are the things that we want to implement? And so that's really going to be our conversation over the next 2 days as we get together as an administrative team. And we would not be able to do that without Parsec, just to be completely frank. I was previously relying on me as the former data and technology person to make a lot of pivot tables and graphs and things, and I'm pretty good, but there's a limit to my talent. And so really having Parsec kind of helps all of our administrators and our teacher leaders as well really be able to look at their data and understand where we're headed.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to the group. If there's any questions, feel free to come off of mute or put your question in the chat before we hop into some breakout sessions. All right, if there are no questions, our next part of this Parsec Partner Exchange is really to brainstorm. That is why we bring everyone together. As I said, it was a request that our partners really wanted to hear how their colleagues were using this in other districts and organizations. And so we're going to do some breakout rooms where you can talk about how you use your data from Parsec for planning over the summer and or throughout the year, and some ideas that you might be thinking about in how that you might use it this year. So we're going to do those breakout sessions. Tyson, if you don't mind, anyone from Parsec, if there ends up being 2 Parsec people in a room, if you don't mind one of you hopping out, we'll reassign you. Well, we're going to put about 4 people in each room so that you can brainstorm in a small group. If you don't mind in those breakout sessions, turning your cameras on, having a conversation, that will help our time be really purposeful, and we'll bring everyone back together at about 9:40. So you do have about 20 minutes in that. Hey everyone, welcome back. Just to close this out today, if there are any questions or share outs from your breakout sessions, we'd love to hear them. Any aha moments? Great conversation. Awesome. Great. Glad to hear that. Great. Sounds great. Awesome. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your LIS and we'll send out the slide deck and the recording so that you have that as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Diana. We appreciate your time today.